I'm Catalina Gómez Beuth, and I am a fine artist.
Hello, and welcome to Art, the podcast where we get to know women from around the world of visual arts. I'm Chris Stafford, and this is Season 3, Episode 15. My guest this week is the Colombian fine artist Catalina Gómez Beuth. Catalina says that through her art, she narrates with brushstrokes in people's faces, each person's individuality, avoiding the boundaries created by skin colour and ethnicity. She invites the viewer to start a conversation and connect with something deeper to discover the humanity we all share, and to feel the raw emotions such as innocence, hopelessness, loneliness, resilience, happiness, determination, and more that she portrays in each canvas. Catalina was born in Medellin, Colombia in 1970 to parents Rosita
Catalina,
Beuth,
welcome to
a
the
housewife, and
Thank
Jorge
you very
Gomez,
much for
a
having me
businessman
here.
who divorced when she was
often
17.
Our guests introduce
Catalina
me to
has
some
a
of
younger
their
brother
favourite
and
artists.
sister.
Your
As a
work
child,
really
she was
turned my
constantly
eye.
drawn to
And
her
I just
art,
loved
which
your
proved
style.
her refuge when her
So thank
family
you.
life became challenging.
Oh, no, thank you so much.
After high
and I
school,
feel
she studied fashion
honored
design
that
at the School of Design,
is very
Poyutual,
important for me.
and further developed her
really
interest for
capture
design while studying
the
in Italy.
emotions.
Upon
That's how you
graduating,
describe
she worked
what
for 7
you do,
years
is
in her father's
transforming
factory,
emotions
which she
into
says
timeless
was more of a
pieces.
job
So
than
you
a
just
career.
captured that moment.
However,
have
her
you
true
always
passion
been
has
so
always
observant
been
about
painting,
people's
and she
emotions?
found time to continue her art
I never
and
asked
begin
myself
selling it in
about
Colombia.
that. What I be trying
Catalina
to do
met
with
her
my
future
art,
husband while
what
on
I see
vacation
that
in the
some
US,
people,
and in
just
2001,
getting to
the couple
surface
moved to the
of
US, where
what
she
they
was able
see.
to establish
For
a
example,
studio
some of them said
and
to
become
me,
a
but
professional
this is the person
artist
that I
while
don't
raising
know.
a
But
family.
I use the
Catalina
person
lives in
just to
Georgia with her
capture
husband,
what
Jose Pablo
the
Solario,
feelings.
and their two
That's what I
children,
want.
Camila
I
and
don't
Mateus.
portray people, I portray feelings. But I never thought that I was so observative related to people. I think it's something that is just so much in myself that I never pay attention how much I observe them. But I always try to see something that is behind my eyes. Sometimes, like, I think with my soul. That's what I think, not with my consciousness. When I was at the school, I was always very interesting, or I was always very passionate about what was going on with my classmates, for example. I was like always trying to do things right for the people that I love, and try to help them. I think that's what moves me, what the people's things, and how I can make a difference in other people's lives.
So when you were a child growing up in Colombia, in Medellin, what kind of a child were you? Were you very close to your family?
Yes, we have a big family. I have 43 cousins by one side, by my mom's side, and we are around 15 by my father's side. We were very close to my mom's side. And yes, I grew up with my cousins. We have a very good relationship. And yes, in my family, my father and my mother are divorced. But even though we have a very good childhood, we were always together. Yes, we were very, very close.
How old were you when your parents divorced?
I was 17. We are three kids from my father's first marriage and 3 from his second marriage.
That must have been hard in some ways, because often it is when parents divorce. How did you cope with that?
Oh, yes, it was hard. I learned to manage that. We have a tough time, especially at the moment when they get divorced. But I think since I was a little bit older, I I was able to transform that moment and to understand what was going on. So for me, it wasn't that traumatic, I think. That's what I think. But for sure, something is inside of me that is left from that experience. But what I see was more traumatic from my brother or my sister. They were younger than me. So I can't say that it was too hard, but it was hard in some way.
So what kind of activities did you do then, Catalina? Because sometimes when we go through a challenge like that as a child, we turn to some distraction. Was it art for you as a child?
Yes, it was art. It was art. I had dyslexia, so I wasn't very good in reading or in things like that. But I was very, very good in the creative field in my middle school, in my high school, and it was always my refuge. When I was having some problems, I always paint by myself. In fact, when I was a little bit older than 17, when I was like 25 or something like that, I broke up with a boyfriend that I had for a long time. And painting was the perfect therapy for me. It helps me a lot. I was for a year alone, just trying to recover my life, because it was really hard. I had all my friends around, my boyfriend too, my ex-boyfriend too. So it was the therapy for me to be able to be by myself. So yes, art has always been a big help in my life.
Was that something that you discovered yourself then, Catalina, or were your parents encouraging, or another family member, were they encouraging you to do that? Because I know you've got some artists in the family. You've got an opera singer and a woodworker. We're talking a little bit about the influences that you had as a child that led you into art.
Okay. My grandfather was the opera singer from my mom's side, and he was the woodworker. But unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to meet him. He died when my mom was very little. She was 7 years old. But still, the art was running in my mom's side, but more in the singing field. By my father's side, my grandmother was very good with her hands. She made beautiful flowers with sugar paste to decorate wedding cakes and things like that. So I grew up looking at her doing that kind of things. But my parents weren't. They don't support me as when it was the time for me to decide what I wanted to do. When I finished the school, it was the time for me to go to college. I said to my father, okay, I wanted to go to I wanted to do art. And he said, no, but if you do something different, I'm not going to support you with that. So it was kind of hard. But I started to study to be a lawyer for a year. And then I decided, no, this is not for me. This is nothing that I am enjoying. I need to be around something more creative, around colors, things like that. So at the end, I moved to fashion design. And that's what I studied, fashion design. And my father had a factory where we made accessories for fashion design, for jeans, specifically for jeans. So I had more support in that field with my father, even though art was always in my mind, in my soul, every time. So I keep painting by myself. And when I came here to US and I decided to get married, after some years, I said, okay, it's time to pursue my dreams. Actually, it was my husband who said, okay, this is what you always wanted to do. You better do it now that you have the opportunity. So I started like 15 years ago to be 100% artist.
What were you painting mainly as a child then, Catalina? What was really catching your eye and imagination? Was it always people?
Yes, always people. Always people. Yes. I think this is part of the normal process of almost every fine artist. We start with people and we started to be more realistic, and we move little by little. Now I am in a phase to experiment with different materials and different expressions. So now I'm working and experimenting with ceramics and with tapestry and things like that. But I think it's like the normal evolution of every artist.
Yes, I think that's often the story that we hear. So you're continuing to branch out then to other things in a way that could be commercial for you. Is that the intention?
I'm not thinking to be commercial. I'm thinking is to look, what happened to me is since I started just 15 years ago, I always think that my time is too short. And I want to experiment and I want to see other things too. So I create things for myself. I don't create things for other people. I always said, okay, I am creating this for myself and for somebody else, that if that person comes now, it's perfect. If it doesn't come, okay, it will be the right time whenever the person comes to get the piece that was creating for that person. I think with my pieces, I always think that it gets to the right home. It's not that I create pieces for everybody. It needs to touch the soul of the other person.
So going back to your childhood then, since you were always drawn to art, which is a very individual activity, of course, did you play with your brother and sister? Did you have common interests with them as you were growing up?
I am 5 years older than my brother and 10 years older than my sister. So we didn't have a lot of time, a lot of interest for the same activities. We were in different time of our lives that we didn't share that much. So I share more with the cousins that were that had more or less the same age that I had.
And what do your brother and sister do now?
My sister is a teacher, and my brother is a landscape designer.
And who else then in the family is interested in art now? Are your children, are they following you?
My son and my daughter, they are good drawing very much. My daughter loves to do ceramics. She just did it last year in her school. But they are not so much in art, but I think it's more because they are kind of tired seeing mommy all the time around art, all the time creating, all the time going to galleries, all the time whenever we go for vacations, I wanted to go to a museum, so they are again, we have to go to a museum. But I think it's because they are kind of tired, not because they don't enjoy it, or probably because they are trying to be
Rebellious.
Yes, rebellious. That's what I think. But I see, especially in my daughter, a talent for that.
So when you were growing up then, were you able to go to galleries and museums? Did your parents take you?
No, we didn't go to galleries. We went to, not to opera. What is the name of the other?
Ballet?
No, it was not ballet. It's more like from Spain. It was more happy than opera. Zarzuelas. Zarzuelas is the name of, but it's kind of an opera, but they talk to and they dance, something more happy than opera. So we used to go to that things to the theater, and I was always interested in the backdrops and in the dresses and makeups and things like that so much. I love that so much.
In terms of the art that you were exposed to then when you were younger, before you went to learn and study art yourself, who would have been your influences growing up in Colombia?
I would say it was more my grandmother by my father's side, and he had a cousin who was a very, very good painter. He was kind of famous in my city. And when I saw his work for the first time, beautiful women drawing in pencil, but you couldn't believe when I saw that for the first time, and I was extremely moved by that. It was beautiful. The execution was excellent. So I think he was a very good impact in my life in terms of art.
And historically, were there artists whose work you admired? Of course, being South America, I know it's Mexico, but Frida Kahlo comes to mind. I'm wondering if there was any South American artists, or particularly women at all, that you were noticing.
Yes, I admire so much Olga de Amaral. She's a textile artist. She's incredible what she does. I admire Lita Cabellut. She is from Spain. She's still alive too. Her art is very visceral, and she paints portraits. Very, very good. I love Klimt too. I think he's very romantic, very, very spiritual for me too. So mainly Degas. I love Degas so much too. So I think there are so many artists that I admire. Guayasamín, for example, he's from Ecuador. His art is very visceral too, so much. And he is like, Guayasamín is like Botero for Ecuador. Botero for Colombia, Guayasamín for Ecuador.
And in terms of the medium that you were using when you were a child and what you're using now, talk a little bit about that and how you obviously developed this yourself and the medium that you preferred.
I started with pastels, then I moved to acrylics, but once I started here, very soon I moved to oils because my sister-in-law gave me a box of oils that a friend of hers had. And so she said, okay, this is for you because I'm not going to use it. So I said, why not? I'm going to start with this to see what happens. And I get in love with oils. It gives you so much time, so much possibilities to redo things just in case you don't like what you are doing. And especially since I start with portraits, since I just paint portraits for now, and I want it to be realistic, so it is the perfect medium for me to work with.
Are you painting mostly from life?
My models are my kids. So most of the time, my paintings are my son or my daughter, especially my daughter. I think I've been painting her since she was 7 years old, and now she's 18. But imagine putting your child sitting in a place for you for hours. It's no way. Not even sitting for you for half an hour while you are taking pictures. So that's what I do. I take pictures of them and I ask them to, okay, this is what I wanted to express. Imagine this is what and they know what I want now. So I said to them, I want you to have a more introspective face, and this is the whole idea that I have for this series. So we talk about that, and then they start to pose for me. So I take hundreds of pictures, and then when I started to look at the pictures, I said, okay, this is what I want, and then I'm going to add some of these other elements and things like that. But yes, they are my models, and they help me so much.
And they're free models.
And not that free, to be honest with you. Not that free, because they are always trying to negotiate somehow any payment. But that's good too. I always said to them, okay, I can pay you this much now. And if anytime one of your pieces are sold, I can pay you a little bit more. So, yes. And I painted my niece too, my nephew, but mainly my kids.
Let's go back to your fashion design school in Provençal. Tell us about that, what college life was like for you and how it was shaping what you would become.
Okay, since it was the closest field that I could, let's say, negotiate with my father, it was a very good opportunity for me. It was extremely creative field. We had drawing too. We have photography. We have, for sure, sewing, all those kind of things. So it nurtures my curiosity. And of course, it gives me the basis for colors and things like that, textures. So it was like a good bank of sources for me. Now that I am experimented with ceramics and tapestry and things like that, I can see even more good things that I get from my fashion design career knowledge than probably before, than when I was just painting. But of course, it gives me so many tools that I implement in my art career. Not just as a painter, just being curious, just trying to see what happens if I do this, what happens if I do that. For example, one of my last series is a series where I incorporate three-dimensional elements to the two-dimensional paintings. So I think this curiosity, these things comes from my fashion design studies, when I try to see what happened if I add this, what happened if I do this.
What was that education like, and socially, culturally? If you got exposed to cultures beyond South America through that school, that would help, define your direction, I think, afterwards? Or did you feel the need to travel to be exposed to cultures beyond South America?
Yes, my school was very small school. Most of my classmates were from the same city that I grew up. So I didn't have exposure to anything beyond my city or my culture there. We have the possibilities to travel. So with my father, we traveled a little bit. We went to other countries in South America, and we came here to US to visit. But when I finished to study fashion design, my parents sent me to Italy for 6 months to study specifically something related with what my father had in his factory. So I was studying how to design accessories for like buckles and things like that. So there is when I was 100% sure that this is what I wanted to do. I mean, this is what is my passion for. But imagine you living in Florence, just eating whatever in the middle of the city, in downtown, in the downtown of the city. Is like you are always in a museum. No matter where you are, you were in a museum, outside, inside. So it was something very special for me. So it was the first exposure that I had about different culture. And it was very much impacting my life.
What did you most enjoy about your exposure to European art?
I enjoy looking at every single, I would say, no, every single piece of art, no, everywhere. Just looking at the way they were able to create those pieces that looks like so real, and how they were able to move you to another time in like I don't know, I don't even know how to express, but it was something so magical. I feel like I was in another time. I feel like I moved to another century when I was there. I just wanted to close my eyes and feel like I was back in that time.
Do you collect art yourself?
I am starting to collect, yes, art from Latin American artists right now. I'm starting with my paper collection right now. So I have a piece from Guayasamín, Luis Caballero, he's from Colombia. I have a Maybelline Toledo, he's from Nicaragua. Patricio Marin, he's from Nicaragua too. Yes, I am starting to collect my pieces.
We didn't talk about your relationship with your mother, Rosita. Tell us about that. Were you close?
We are super close. We are very, very close. She is the light of my life, I would say. I love her so much. We are very close. We like to do things together. The only thing is she lives in Colombia and I'm living here in US. But anytime that we have possibilities to be together, we try to be together. She comes here to spend time with the family once a year. I try to go to visit her as much as I can. Yes, we are very, very close. She's so special for me.
What does she say about your art?
She loves it. She loves it. She's always very curious what I'm doing. She's very supportive. She really, I mean, I think she's very proud.
What are your musical tastes? Are they still very Colombian?
Not that much. I think I like different type of music. But when I discovered Brazilian music, my husband is from Argentina, but he grew up in Brazil. So he introduced me to the Brazilian music, and I love to listen to bossa novas and things like that. I think it's very romantic. The language is very romantic for me. I like Piazzolla too. He's from Argentina, and the tangos. I grew up listening tangos with my mom and her family. So at the beginning, I didn't like it when I was young, but now I really enjoy listening to tangos and listen something more like orchestra tangos and things like that. I like music when the music has good lyrics. For me, it's very important. The lyrics for me I always said that we as an artist, we must be careful what we say, because we have the possibility, especially musicians, they have the power to impact many people at the same time. For me, it's very important that the lyrics talk about something positive, about something beautiful, or it can be something sad too, but something good, nothing that don't talk good about women, for example, and things like that. That I see a lot now in Latin music.
Do you play a musical instrument, or did you sing with your mother?
Oh, no. I would love to sing, but I don't sing well. And I tried to play piano and organ when I was little, but I wasn't so much in that, so I never pursued any instrument.
What about in the studio now? What do you listen to?
Most of the time, bossa nova. That's what I like to listen. But sometimes I just turn off the music and I like to be just in silence. And some other time I like salsa too, but salsa from my era. That's why my kids said, "Mommy, is this music from your era?" So it's more romantic salsa, but most of the time is bossa nova or Brazilian music. I like a lot that kind of music.
Do you have a studio in your house or is it separate, Catalina?
No, it is in my house. I was thinking many times to move out of the house, but the thing is, I have to manage my life as a mother and as an artist. So for me, it's much more convenient to have everything in the same place. I pick up my son from the school. I cook for them. We always have lunch and dinner together. My husband works from home too. So yes, many times I thought, okay, I think it will be a better idea if I move out. But at the same time, I think, okay, this is a time of my life that I have to enjoy as much as I can before they leave. In fact, my daughter is leaving this year, so I have to enjoy now that my son is going to be here for 5 more years as much as I can.
Yes, they're both teenagers. Your son, Matthias, 13 and Camilla, 18.
Yes, and you know that especially at that time of your life, you need someone to be around to guide you and things like that. They are very good kids. But still, I think it's good to have the parents around.
What does your husband, Jose, do?
He's in the IT field, system analysis and system engineering.
You spend a lot of time teaching. Where did that interest for teaching come from, or was it out of necessity?
No, actually, it was a friend of mine who said to me one day, "Will you teach me?" I said, "If you want, I will teach you what I know." And since then, one person started to say to another one and to another one. And now I have 3 groups of ladies that come to my studio during the week, 3 days a week. And since 2 years ago, more or less, I started to teach in an assisted living. And let me tell you, that experience is amazing for me. This is so rewarding. The first day when I went there, I wasn't very sure that I was able to do that because it was kind of an impact for me. But then I said, no, but let me try it again. And now I'm always looking for that day to teach the people in the assisted living. And I teach too a program for seniors in a public park. And it's so much fun with them too. They are very happy. And I feel so happy that I can give them that time, that joyful time. So I am enjoying so much teaching. I used to teach kids. I teach kids for at least 3 years at my studio, but it was hard. It was hard to teach kids, especially because they were between 8 to 11, and I had around 8 kids at the same time. So it was very hard.
But before you were married, I know you met your husband, Jose, here in the States. So that determined when your move to the US. What year was that, by the way? When did you actually move here?
2001. We met in 2000, and 2001 we get married and I moved here.
So what did you do between graduating from the School of Design, the fashion design, and moving to the US?
I worked with my father in his factory for 7 years.
What did that involve?
It was more like an administrative work. It wasn't creative work.
That was more of a job than a career then, was it?
Yes, exactly. Still, I was painting by myself at home and things like that. But yes, it was more like a job.
Were you able to sell any of your paintings then?
I saw a couple of paintings when I was in Medellin working with my father. Yes. But when I moved here and I started to paint, that is when I started to sell my pieces like more regularly, I would say.
Tell us how that came about, because that's not always easy to just break loose and become commercial. Was that a challenging time for you to build a reputation, get established?
Yes, I think it's still challenging because it's like as an artist, I am always debating that should I do commercial things or should I do more artistic things like what I feel? And I always been inclined to do what I want, what I feel, what I need the necessity to express. But like I said to you, since I don't create things just thinking about, okay, this is going to be so commercial and I need to do this because this is going to the gallery and we need to sell it. No, it's like, okay, I'm doing this and I know, I mean, I'm not 100%, but probably I know there is someone that is going to be touched by my art. So if that someone is the right person, he will get the piece. And always has been like that. I don't know if it's lucky or what, but it's like I've been able to sell what I have been creating, not thinking in anything being commercial. And let me tell you, here is not easy to work, especially with portraits, because people are kind of confused, thinking, why should I have someone that I don't know in my house? But it's like I always said when I am talking about my art, it's like I'm not creating pieces to go with your sofa or with the curtains. I want pieces that touch your soul. If this speaks to you, this is what I want. It doesn't matter that and that's what I collect right now. Things that touch my soul, the things that speak to me. It doesn't matter if it goes with the decoration I have at home. It needs to be something that reflects who I am too.
Do you take commissions?
I do take commissions, even though it's nothing that I enjoy that much, but I do take commissions. I mean, it has to be when someone approached to me, asking me for a commission, I always said to them, okay, if you want me to paint your daughter or your son, I will do it, but in my style. I like to paint, and it has a meaning behind when I paint the skin color in different shades of gray. So I always said to them, so it has to be the skin color is going to be gray no matter what. Because I think that's part of my signature too. And that's what I wanted to express in my art is when I painted the people, the skin color in gray, is I want people to get underneath the skin. I want people to get connected with something beyond the skin color. Because here, it's still very important. I don't know, even there has been so much effort trying to avoid that. There is still everywhere that skin color is so important here. And for us in Colombia, I'm not going to say that we are perfect society, but we don't have that kind of things so highlighted like we have it here. So I want people to get more connected with the feelings because that's what I wanted to portray. So when I do commissions, I go and take pictures of the person that they want me to paint, especially if they are kids, and I try to take something a little bit more spontaneous or something more meaningful that just like I don't know, like any picture that people can have and the people looks good. It's not about looking good. It's about what they are expressing.
So when you do your photography then to prepare for a commission?
I usually go with a friend of mine who helped me to take different angles of the person to pictures. So I take some and he takes other pictures because I want, especially when they are kids, they move a lot and things like that. So we have to be fast. Since we work something more spontaneous, we don't want to keep them like sitting in this way, put your hand here. No, I want them to play with their brother or sister and see what happens when they are playing. What do they like to play with? So we incorporate those elements at the moment. And then I can remove those elements and put something different or whatever my imagination comes with in the middle of the process. But I want them to be more spontaneous. When I am at the studio working in a specific series, I have my idea in my mind already. So I know exactly what is the gesture I want my kids to do. Because it's different. This is more like I have a purpose in the series. But when it's a portrait, it's something I want to portray something more spontaneous.
Now you've been exhibiting your work for several years now throughout the States, and I'm wondering how that breakthrough happened when you first found a gallery to take your work and really broke into that professional artist mode, if you like, Catalina. Talk a little bit about that and how that went.
Let me tell you about how I started first. I started here at an art center here in the city. A friend of mine one day came here and said to me, why we don't take some classes? And I said, no, I don't have time. I have 2 little kids. There's no way for me. So my husband said, no, you have time. You have to take a break and you have to pursue your dreams now. So he has been so much support for me. So I started to paint and I started to exhibit there at the art center. And I won some awards there. And I met some friends, now they are closer friends, that are artists too. So I started to ask them, especially one of them, Carlos Solis. I started to ask him for advices, and he started to say to me, okay, you must apply here, you must apply there. And so I started to follow all his advices. And he is the founder of a group named Contrapunto, which is a group of artists, Latin American artists, that try to open the doors for Latin art here, especially in Georgia, but in U.S. too. So one day after, I would say at least 4 years or something, or even more, he approached me and he said, will you like to be part of my group? I said, what? Are you sure? I said, yes, of course. So I joined the group, I would say more than around 8 years ago. And since then, I've been able to get more exposure. He's always knocking doors. That's what we said. And we work very good as a group. Each of us, we have different styles. We complement each other. But it is, I think, when you work in a group, probably it's easier because sometimes you get down because people reject your work or because you are Latin, so we don't work with Latin artists and things like that. But there is another person from the group that says, okay, let's go move to another place, or let's go try to do this, or let's show them how we can handle this. And we have been able to open many possibilities, not just for the group, for other Latin artists here in Georgia. So I think the group helped me a lot to be able to have more exposure than if I was just by myself.
All right, Hi, my name is Teresa Vitale, and I'm a cinematographer who was a guest on the Art Podcast. But here's what I need you to do now. You've got to download and subscribe to the new Call Time Podcast. It's about women in all departments of film and television. And it's available now on all podcast apps. And don't forget to follow at the Call Time Podcast on Instagram. I'll see you there.
And now, of course, you're exhibited far and wide and have been for many years. Well, I think it was 2015 I saw was your first exhibition.
Yes.
In terms of that part of your artwork, I mean, that is obviously important to get your work out in public. But in terms of the process, which is the most satisfying for you? Is it when you stand back from the canvas and finish a piece and what you see in it, or when you put it out into an exhibition and you get public reaction?
I think definitely putting things on the exhibition are very excited, very much excited. It's all the adrenaline that you have been experimenting during a year or more. It's like that that climax on everything. But other thing is when I started to paint a piece, I start with an idea. And sometimes, I would say most of the time, like in the middle of the process, is like, this is not working. What is going on? Something is missing. And then it's like a sparkle. And I always say that I have an intimate conversation with the piece that I am painting. It's like I allow the piece to say to me, what should I keep doing? And when that magical moment happens, it's so much joy for me. It's like, okay, this is what I wanted to do. This is exactly what I was missing. And things like that. Because I start with the person, but since this is with the model, since this is not what I am portraying, it's something else. So I need to have other elements like butterflies, like hearts, like balloons, like I made a series with origamis, things like that. So when I was able to get into that sparkle of the element that will help me to create the whole story, this is so much satisfaction for me.
I read somewhere that you were recognized by the Colombian Foreign Ministry among the 100 outstanding Colombian migrants of 2020. I'm wondering how important that is for you to have that recognition from your home country.
Okay, back in that time, we didn't experiment in what we are experimenting right now. Now I think it's too much. It's too cruel. But I feel happy that I can help to put the name of my country high. I wanted to always through my art, like I said to you, it's very important. We as an artist, we always talk about good things. And be careful what we say, be careful the message we send. Because I always try to talk in a positive way about all people, all humans. So I think being able to or being recognized by the government, it is important because in that way we can show that we came here to create community. We came here to help build community instead of doing something wrong. So yes, it was very, very nice recognition. And another thing is, I work with the consulate, Colombian consulate here to helping to put some exhibitions on the consulate. I work as a volunteer. So it is not like I just moved as an artist doing art. I move as an artist helping other artists too, creating community, showing people that our people are doing good things. always through art, but not just painting in my case.
And how about the women? Have you seen a growth in the numbers of women that have gained international recognition?
Everywhere, women are being more recognized, even though not as much as we should. But it's not just in the field of as painters, for example. It's always like we have to work harder to be recognized. Because if, for example, you see the chefs, most of the chefs that are famous are men, but always women have been the ones that have been cooking. So it's the same thing in these other artistic fields. Always the attention is more around men, even though I think now opens are a little bit more open for, doors are a little bit more open for women. And we still have to keep working hard to get the same recognition. In Colombia, yes, I have seen some artists that new artists that have making very good, that are doing very good. I'm not very good with names, but Olga de Amaral, for example, she's not a painter, but she's a tapestry, and she's very well recognized. This other girl, her last name is Rayo. She's very good too. Yes, we have very good artists, but still, most of the time you see men.
I read somewhere that you said how you believe in the importance that art has to create bridges of communication and inspiration to build and improve communities. Do you feel that part of your creative soul is as important as the art itself?
Of course, I think it is mainly my art. I think through art you can. I mean, what I'm trying to do with my art is to show people that we look so different, but we are so alike. So that's the way we can create those bridges, because when people get in touch with one of my pieces, for example, and then we started to talk, we realized that at the end, we are so alike. So that's the way to create community. When we, instead of seeing differences, we see so many similar things that we have. So I think when I put my soul in my art, is the way I open my life to others too. It's like getting naked in front of other people. And it's like allowing other people to get closer to me. And that's the way I create community. When I surrender myself, like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I feel. And then when I talk with them and they say, okay, or they express, okay, this is what I feel too, even though I am from Serbia, for example. I have a very good friend that she's a very good friend now, but we met through art. And now when we communicate, we see that we are not that different. We are so much closer than when we think. But everything, we were able to discover that through art.
What do you think art has taught you in terms of your personality, and maybe influenced your personality in some way?
I think being curious, very important. I think being brave somehow, because exposing yourself is not that easy. So it's like this process have teach me that no matter what people think, what they say, you are able to do it. You have the courage to do it, and you have to keep doing that because it's something that you feel passion for, and you have to keep finding the courage to keep doing it, because as an artist, you expose yourself so much. So I think that's what this has been teaching me, that being courage and curious.
So what are you working on this year, Catalina?
I am working right now in a series made with ceramics and fibers. I am experimenting with this new medium for me. I didn't show yet any of my works that I've been doing during this year because I wanted to show it when everything is done, complete. So hopefully at the end of next year, I will be able to show the whole series. I'm still in the phase of investigating things, looking what happened if I add this, what happened if I do this. Since my develop as an artist always has been more like a self-thought. So I am in this process right now to discover what can I do with this new media that I am experimenting with. Still I paint, but I'm not painting that much because I think, when I started to paint, it's like my mind is right now in the ceramics. So I said, why should I do this if I had my mind in this other thing? So this is what I'm working right now on.
So many possibilities. It must be great fun to take this journey and explore in so many different directions. Very satisfying for you.
Yes. I think art it has infinity possibilities. So yes, and I don't agree with the idea that you have to stick to just one style, to one thing, because it cut the possibility to keep growing and evolving. So like I said, it's not about being commercial, it's more like being an artist and keep exploring things to see what happens. And of course, there will be a moment where I will go back 100% to painting, but right now I am in this other phase.
Well, it sounds like a lot of fun, and we wish you the very, very best with all of it, Catalina. And thank you so much for taking time to come on the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for this invitation. I feel honored with this. Thank you.
And do join us over on YouTube now, because that's where Catalina and I are heading to give you a little bonus content. So look for the Art Podcast on YouTube and catch us there. Remember to like, follow and subscribe on your podcast app, and of course on Instagram, where you'll find us at The Art Podcast. That's art with 2 A's. You can also find links to Catalina's social media and her website in the show notes accompanying this episode. Just scroll down below the player in your podcast app. And if your interest is in sports, don't forget that's where I started off, was with the WIS Sports Network. And you could find literally hundreds, over 1,000 episodes about women in sport, in all sports and all aspects of women in sport. That's on the WIS Sports Network. Just look for WISP Podcast Network on any podcast app. And of course, there's Call Time, the new show that you heard about earlier. And that is, of course, on any podcast app for women in all departments of film and television. And speaking of film and television, I'll be back in 2 weeks' time when my guest will be the BAFTA-nominated cinematographer Anne-Marie Lean-Vercoe. So I do hope you'll join me then. In the meantime, thank you again to my guest this week, Catalina Gómez Beuth, and to you for listening.